Howdy folks, Little John in the brewery. I'm about to do a couple of tasters on some of the lockdown stout Imperials. Yeah. Taking a bit of room here. I just done a sat down to do some tasters on the hop trial. The first batch of the hop trial beers, and it's been a little bit of a failure. So that video is not actually going to go to air. Anyway, so what I'm on today. Before that, let's get on. I want to say thank you to all the Patreons. Cheers guys, thanks for your support as always. If you're subscribed to Little John's, also thank you. If you're not subscribed, hit the button down there in the corner. Get ring the bell, get notified when there's a video on. There's always plenty of stuff going on. Tastings, drinking, brewing, talking. It's all beer and beer sort of stuff. So, as I said, lockdown stout. I did these a little while back. I did base stout. I'll pop a video up, link in the corner. Did the base stout and then did the Imperial on top of that. And then I added several different options to the bottles when I primed these to see what sort of difference they will make. So now this is a 10.5% beer in the bottle, thereabouts. So I'm not going to sit down and do tastings on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different options I prime with, but I'm going to sit down with 2 today, have a bit of a taste. One to look at just how the base beer itself is going, and to see how those different flavourings have worked. And yeah, there we go. So started off, I've got 2 here. This bottle is been primed with carb drop and some vanilla extract, and this fella's just been primed with just straight dextrose. So just a scoop into the bottle, probably about 2/3 of a scoop. It wouldn't have been a full scoop, I don't think, by memory. Not exactly sure off the top of my head, but so not a lot of gas in these. I didn't want to go for a. Actually, we might didn't they all like gas? Might go for some mix-out glasses, just to help it along a little bit. I have carved these quite low on purpose. Obviously, being an Imperial is not something I'm going to drink in a big hurry, so I'm probably going to age them a little bit. Didn't pour much yet, it's sort of developing a little bit as it's coming on, but I mean, like the high alcohol, they tend not a style that throws a lot of head. This one seemed to have even a bit less gas. Well, again, we've discussed before, it's not always about head, it's about taste. Yeah, and that fella there's got bloody nothing going on. Anyway, no, that's the 2. And they are black. They're black as you want to get. I'm not getting, when there's no bright sunshine, that's a bit of a cloudy out there at the moment, but even up to the light, there is nothing there. They are black as black. So okay, there's a noticeable alcohol smell. Marathon Pilsner is the base malts. chocolate, crystal, and some roasted barley. And actually the chocolate was choc wheat, so it's a fairly simple malt bill. Oh, Jesus, rich. Okay, that's it. This is the carb drop with the vanilla extract. That's a meaty beer. So, just some numbers quickly. Originally it was $10.94, got down to $10.30 initially with USO 5, and then at that point I added some extra malt, some amber malt, some Dex, just to boost the gravity, and added a starter of BE 256, which is a Abbey yeast, to finish it off. So adjusted initial gravity was 1.102, and finished off finally at 1024. So big body, it's a big beer. And it is as big in the mouth. There's lots going on, but the alcohol, despite the fact it's on the nose, it's not in the mouth. You're not really tasting it. It's quite restrained. It's held back. Oof, it's got some. Okay. There's nothing specifically sort of standing out flavour-wise, and this is exactly why these big beers need time. They need time for everything to sort of mellow and mix together, and each little thing to sort of develop its own part of the brew. It's hard to describe the flavour of these big beers, of a big Imperial, unless you've really, unless you've tried one and actually experienced what it's like. It's hard to put into words. It really is difficult. But it's rich. It's not quite creamy. It's not slick. It's heavy bodied. It's full in the mouth. Okay, as you drink a little bit, the alcohol's becoming just a little more evident. And I assume that as it warms, that's going to become a more prominent flavour. It always does. It's sweet. There's a bitter, light bitter, dark chocolate sort of a feel under there. Okay. The vanilla is adding, there's a bit of creaminess with that vanilla. I can't particularly taste the vanilla. I think if you're drinking that one on its own, with no reference to that, you probably are going to pick that there's vanilla in there, or at least that there's some sort of vanilla note. But It's not obvious, and it certainly was never, it wasn't intended to be obvious. It's meant to impart some character, and it's doing that. It's a tad creamier. What difference the carb drop and the Dex is playing, I'm not completely sure. From previous beers I've found, the carb drop and Dex really don't make much difference to the body, the mouthfeel, even the flavour of a beer, as certainly not compared to other sugars. There is some amount of lacing coming from this one with the vanilla, and a little bit of head still there. The one with the Dex is really doing nothing head-wise, but that may change with a little bit of time. That may develop as it goes. Now these are, how old are they? Bottle on the 17th of May, so they're not quite 2 months old. And this is certainly a beer I'd be looking to put away for 6 months at least, and possibly, so possibly even 9 months to really let it fully develop. So that's not displaying its true intended character at the moment, but they're nice. You can sit on a nice summer sit on a winter's night by a fire, sipping on that in the spa. Just small mouthfuls and just sipping on it. It's not a thirst quenching. It's not a bloody slam it down after work sort of beer, that's for sure. But they've come out really nice. I'm very happy with the result of those. These two I certainly prefer what the vanilla is doing. I'm finding it's adding just that nice little bit of creaminess. There's certainly there's a level in that one, as it is anyway. But as far as the brew goes, the actual the recipe, and recreating it, guys at home, ladies at home, we wanted to brew it. It certainly worked. I have done the Imperial Stout since the son's wedding. This it's a different beast. But judging by that, and obviously that particularly is this beer at its core. That's just simply this beer. It's Dex. It's exactly how it is, and it's a nice beer. I think the head may develop a little bit over time. It may take a bit longer, but given the alcohol, it's very hard to develop head. Very hard to hold one. I can't see. There's carb there, and you can feel it when you're drinking it. And it's not a beer you want highly carved anyway, by any means. I think it's working really well. I'm really happy with how that is. That bit of vanilla has worked really nicely. Just put that little bit extra finish on it. Just a little extra sweetness, a little extra creaminess, and and honestly, some people might actually find it a little too sweet. But I like them both. Drink either of them quite happily. So I'm really pleased with how they've turned out. It certainly makes me very excited about tasting the other options that I did with this, particularly I'm really keen to see how the chocolate additions went, and also the bourbon, how the bourbon reacts into that. But yeah, they're good as they are. Definitely a recipe that's worth looking at, and, and the process was more the thing with this one. It was using a simple yeast, a clean yeast, to drive the ferment initially, while it was still at not at a ridiculously high level. I mean, 1094 is certainly a big level to be running USA 5 up, and certainly not something you'd normally do. But with that intention of always running further yeast onto it, it's worked well. And as a result, I didn't need a massive amount of the specialty yeast, didn't need a lot of it, just need enough, that small starter. It was only a 500ml starter, just to finish it out. And the starter was really enough just to keep that yeast, get that yeast going with anything else. It wasn't for building massive numbers, and it's worked really well. So normally this style of beer, you'd be looking at a big starter of something, and having to run an abbey yeast of some kind, which at those sort of numbers is going to add a lot of character and have a lot of influence on the final beer. I think from tasting these, the yeast is having minimal impact on the flavour. I'm really feeling I'm only getting the malts, the hops certainly would be playing their part. I'm not picking them up as an individual player, and again, that may be something down the track, but in any beer like this, particularly a big beer, the hops are really just supporting everything else. They're malt and yeast beers. The alcohol and the malt are working to provide the flavours. The hops are there really to allow the malt to be, palatable. It would just be too sweet and messy. So it's a reasonably solid hop bill underneath, but the hops aren't there to provide any character of themselves. They would be contributing, but they're not noticeable. You're certainly not tasting. When you're drinking that, there's not any thought or concern of my mind for hops. Certainly thought and concern about the effect of the alcohol. 10.5% beer. It creeps up on you pretty quickly, especially when you've already had a few beforehand. But yeah, that's tasty. It's nice. Okay, so as always, if you've got any comments, any questions, stick them down the bottom. Ask away. Happy to answer, give some guidance, some reference on these ones. These are not a beer that people make very often. People don't like to make them because they think they're going to be difficult, that they're hard, they don't understand exactly where they're going with such a big beer. They're not that difficult as long as you follow some standard steps and processes and keep those things in place. This is no different to making a New England IPA or even just a big pale ale or a lager. Yeah, you follow your process. As long as you've got your process right, you're understanding what you're trying to do, then you can achieve a good result. And this has done that. So if you want to clarify, put the question, put it down there. As always, Patrons, cheers guys. Listen, somebody is going to get a bottle or two of this sent to them as a result of the recent discussion on Patreon, which brings me to, if you'd like to be a Patreon, hit the link down the bottom. It will tell you all about it. Find out what the benefits are of being a Patreon. I'll just simply give a little bit back to Little John for the time and effort I put into providing you guys with some educational videos. But that's me for the day. Got some ribs on the barbecue I'm going to go and check out, see how they're travelling. Until I'll see you again. We're brewing beer, we talking beer, or we drinking beer. Good brewing.